a lot going on. I haven't been too bad health-wise for a few months now, so that's not too bad. I'm a married man now, Frank. Me and Lizzie got married, so you know, that was brilliant. It's just a small thing, just with me and her and our friends, and that was it really. But lovely, it's nice. Been together 16 years, so I thought better get it sorted really. Yeah, the only sad part of it is I'm in the early stages of Alzheimer's, Frank. I've got MCI, which is a start of it. You know, I've got had a 3-hour, nearly 4-hour thing to Oxford a couple of months ago, and you know, it's not good, but you know, I've got to keep the brain working, doing all sorts of silly things that they've told me to do, you know. And it's all good, you know, now, because the Alzheimer's Association have sent me a big book and all the rest of it within. But at the minute, I'm okay with my driving licence and that, because if it goes one more up the next stage, obviously, I don't know how it works with amateur radio, though. You know, I mean, I do forget what buttons are what, because obviously I've got this radio I bought off the club 9 months ago, you know, and it's quite simple, but you forget the ordinary things, Frank. But other than that, well, it's no good getting downbeat about it, is it? That's the sad news. I don't think I've spoken to you since, but Louis Wellington lost his wife at Christmas. You know, they'd have been married like yourself for a very long time, you know, and he ain't doing too bad, but he's, you know, he rings me out every so often. You know, it's better for him to ring me because he never answers his phone otherwise, and yeah, he's coping all right, but I don't think we'll ever see him at the club again, Frank, anyway. But you never know. Oh, Juliet Hotel. That's you, Frank.
Okay there, John, M0JHB from GTO FDP. Who was the one who said it's just gone? I didn't quite catch the name. That's you?
Yeah, Louis Wellington. What's it? 2E0. Was it? Oh, 2E0. See what I mean? Yeah, you know, the guy with the motorbike, Frank.
Yep, okay, John, I know exactly who you mean now, Louis, yes. He used to sit over on the table beside when you was on that table over there as well, when we had the meetings and that. And he used to ride along to the club meeting on his motorbike, even in his 90s, didn't he? Because he was getting on a bit, Louis was. And there's 2E0, I can't think of his call sign now, off the top of my head, because it's a little while since we worked him. But unfortunately, Louis is not with us anymore now, no. Oh, right. Okay then, right. You're talking about your Alzheimer's. Well, I've not got Alzheimer's. I've probably just got a bit of a memory loss at the moment. I sort of think myself. Now, see, you said Louis, but I wasn't quite sure who you meant to start with. That's why I asked again. And I should, if I write it down, I know where I am. But if I don't write it down, I'll forget it. That's the only problem I've got. And at the moment, I'm suffering with breathing problems, not COPD breathing problems, but just a lack of breathing when I'm exercising, when I'm doing anything which we have to do around the house when you're 21 years old. You've got to do this and you've got to do that, and because I've got 2 flights of stairs in the house here, so I take the breath out of me when I go up and down every now and again to do things. But I persevere. I'm waiting for an appointment. I've got an appointment, but it's a long way off to get this appointment still. My appointment's in 2024, which is next year. And I'm trying to ring up the National Health Service to try and get it brought forward, but I just don't seem to be able to get through to it. It's always engaged somewhere or other, but there we are. That's the only fortunate thing about that at the moment. And go up your car there, where you still have to drive your car there, John. Fair enough, good on that, yeah. But if you go one more digit higher than where you are now, you probably have to sort of put your car away in the garage and lock it up and not use it. But that's the unfortunate thing about when we get old, unfortunately. Things crop up on us which we can't do without, unfortunately. I can still drive at the moment, yes. The only problem I've got now is running the car. It costs a bloody fortune to run it now, and it's a 22-year-old car, and the insurance companies want nearly £600 odd to insure it, and because road fund licence is not cheap either, miles a year. I don't know, but I'm going to get onto the insurance company and tell them, say, if you can't lower that by a good £100, I'm not going with you. I'm going to go somewhere else and tell you that up you. I don't want your one now. I'll go tell me it's worth about £100 cheaper than what you've given to me. So we'll see how it goes anyway. That's the only thing there. And but my little old car sits in the garage. It's not one of those cars that sits out in the open all the time. It's garage most of the time. And as I say, it's more or less like a shopping trolley at the moment. It takes me down to Sainsbury's and back, or it takes me around to my family, which I've lived up at just outside Welling, or just round about Orpington area. So that's as far as I go in the car. And of course, if we go anywhere for a distance anywhere, which we go sometimes, my son's the driver. He takes us wherever we want to go. Like we went to Christchurch, Bournemouth last week, and he drove us down there and back. And he's obviously going to drive us when we go out next time. So I got my son. He's a good lad. He drives us wherever we like to go, and he helps me out. Anyway, if I waffled on enough, John, I'll see if there's anybody who wanted to join us. If not, I'll go back to you, John. Is anybody else want to join us Sunday morning? 2 metre Cray Valley Radio Starting Net from G0FDP standing by.
Can you hear me now, Frank?
Yeah, I can hear you now. You're having a bit of problem now to start with, Mark. I had a good string 6-song signal, but not really any audio. Back to you, Mark.
Yeah, G0FDPM0JCF. Yeah, what happened, Frank, was I was keying up and I was getting like a full swing, as they say, and all that old nonsense. And I was monitoring myself on my handheld, and I realised that my modulation was in and out. It was on and off. And I jiggled the microphone cable. It's the original Trio microphone cable. And yeah, it was on and off. So while you was talking to John, I've just plugged in an Icon microphone, which obviously works. And then while you was talking, I undid the connector, and sure enough, the audio wire of the Trio microphone had broken off. So there you go. But you and John, well, your end stop, Frank, and John, you'll have to give me his call sign again in his QTH. And John was about a 5 and 7 to me. The radio I'm using today is a Trio TS-700G. It's about the 4th one of these that I've owned now. It's an analog 2 meter band multi-mode radio, so it does AM, FM, CW, both side bands, etc. And I only bought it at the beginning of this week, not working. I got it working, a few things like dry solder joints and stuff like that. And and it seems to be working really, really well. I mean, all the bulbs work in it, which is always a plus on these things. It's quite unusual to find all the bulbs working. But anyway, that's the radio that I'm using. So currently using it with an Icon microphone. It's putting out about 9 watts, I suppose, and that's into the antenna. So the antenna's a pretty good match. It's that colinear antenna. So that's the story there, Frank. And if you just let me know what John's call sign and QTH is, and then you possibly got someone else who also came in at the same time as me. Back to you, Frank. G0FDPM0JCF in the Cray Valley 2 metre Sunday net.
Okay there, Mark. M0JCF from G0FDP. John's call sign is Mike 0 Juliet Hotel Bravo, and his name's John, obviously, begins with a J. John. Okay there, Mark. Is there another station trying to join the Sunday morning 2 metre net? Come in if you can. Call us now.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, Frank. I just got to clear one thing up. It's not Louis Wellington that's passed away. He's alive, and his call sign is 20 Lima Whiskey Sierra. It's his wife, Frank. It's his wife. Over.
I'm right on that, John. It's not Louis himself. It's his dear loved wife. I'm sorry about that for his wife anyway. Okay, 20 Lima Whiskey Sierra. Now I'll remember that when you told me there. Okay, doke. Right, now we've got Mark on the list as well at the moment. He wanted to know your call sign. I've just given it to him. And your QTH is still down by the railway station, the old railway station at Eltham. Back to you, John.
Yeah, Roger. Yeah, I'm still here, mate. Still here.
this, I'm sure you do. Now, we used to be where the Eltham railway station used to be, not where it is now, where it used to be, off of Sherrard Road, around that area, where the block of flats around that area. That's where his QTH is. Okie doke, right. Is anybody else want to join the Sunday morning 2 metre net? He doubled there. I think it sounds like an M7, did it? Am I correct? M7GHB? Oh, not a GHB, okay. That's, let me see, GHB. Must have it down here somewhere. I can't see it at the moment. Yeah, okay. And anybody else to join the Sunday morning net? No, not at the moment. Okay. Mark, over to you, M0JCS. Then you can pass around to M7JHB, which is quite unusual. And we've got M0JHB as well. Okay, Mark, over to you.
Yeah, I think a correction on that, Frank. It might be M7 Echo Hotel Bravo EHB. I'm pretty sure. And the name will come to me in a minute. I'm having a brain fart today as well. But yeah, okay, mate. Yeah, we'll get it. We'll get all of that in a minute. John, M0JHB. Okay, now you're 5 and 9 plus to me, John. I was looking at the meter at a real funny angle, but yeah, you're 5 and 9 plus. And of course, all Kenwoods and Trios have got the good audio, haven't they? Even though I'm using an old Icon microphone, probably the same era, it's the radio, isn't it? They're renowned for having good audio. But yeah, it's a lovely old analog rig. As I say, I bought 2 of them this week. I actually bought this one and another one for yeah, using as spares and repairs. The other one really was a little bit sorry, but I managed to get this one going without having to tear the other one apart. And so actually I sold it to an M7 over in Basildon. I sold it to an M7 for the money that I paid for it. I paid 30 quid, and that's what I sold it for as a spares and repairs. Does need work. It didn't have the microphone, didn't have the power cable, etc. I know it lights up. I know when you key it up, it will go into transmit. The relays all click, blah blah blah, but there's no RF output. And there's audio. You know, like you go through the different modes. And there's the various, you know, you get used to, you know, the audio noises. I'm not saying that there would be incoming audio per se, but anyway, it's gone to a new home, and hopefully he'll get it up and running. But 30 quid just for, you know, the spares, the bits that was in it is a real bargain anyway. So, but as I got my money back. But this radio, it's a keeper for a while, as I didn't pay a lot of money for it at all. But I've got the soldering iron on. I'm going to wire up the original Trio microphone because that was working. So I know the mic's okay. But yeah, John, yeah, I know exactly where you live. I used to live in Kidbrooke Lane, which was from where you live, cut across the railway tracks, cut across Well Hall Pleasance, and then you're into Kidbrooke Lane. And I lived at the other end. I lived at the football fields end, the Westbourne Avenue end. And yes, the station that you're on about, it's called Eltham now, but back then it was Eltham Well Hall. That's the distinguishing bit between the two stations. And of course, when they moved Eltham Well Hall across the road, renamed it Eltham, they also closed down Eltham Park South, didn't they? Which you could see from Eltham Well Hall. You could see the platforms. That's how close the two stations were. So I see why they did it. I see the sense there. But I don't know how long you've been there, John. And apologies if I'm jogging your Alzheimer's. But there used to be, when Eltham Well Hall Station was there was a coal yard, wasn't there? Do you remember? There was an old coal yard, and Also, there was an old station master's house there. It was derelict. I moved to Eltham Christmas of 1972, and from sort of January 1973 onwards, that little area, the coal yard and that derelict house and everything, was a playground for me and my mates at the time. And we used to go to Haymo School, which obviously is down the road from you, and you have to walk up that little path from Foxhole. So you come up from Foxhole, up that path, past those blocks of flats that Frank was on about. Oh, you just got me memory going there, you know. So yeah, I do know where you are, and I do know the area incredibly well. And of course, a lot of it was pulled down when they built in 1986, 87, 88. They built the Rochester Way bypass, didn't they? Which is the you know the A102 or A2 going into the A102M for Blackwall Tunnel. So anyway, enough of that waffle. I just thought I'd come back. And as I say, with the Alzheimer's, I'm very aware of how this works with the licenses, because my sister's father-in-law has just had, in literally the last 2 weeks or so, has just had his driving license taken away from him, and he thinks it's a conspiracy. He believes that no one ever told him that this was going to happen. Mysteriously, one day, he's got a letter saying you can no longer drive. But of course, and it's really quite sad, he's actually forgotten that he went for the medicals. He's got doctor's reports and everything. He forgot that all of that has happened leading up to him losing his license. And it's really quite sad, and it's very distressing for him, because he believes this has just happened. One day I'm driving a car, the next day I've got a letter that says, that's it, you ain't driving no more, mate. And it's really quite incredible. But of course, from his point of view, he's lost this timeline where he was assessed for it and everything, and it was explained to him, this is going to happen, mate. So yeah. So I'm not going to bring it down any further on a Sunday morning. I'll hand it round to M7. I think it's Echo Hotel Bravo, but he will correct us on that, I'm sure. And the M7 station, I believe, and I will give you a report next time around, I believe you was about a 5 and 7 to me. So round to you, M7 EHB from M0 JCF in the group.
M0 JCF from Mike 7 Echo Hotel Bravo. Your right, Mark here, Mike Alpha Romeo Kilo, and I'm operating this morning from my home, which is slightly unusual, but I've got a new antenna. I've got Laurie G4FAA very kindly lent me a white stick. It's a diamond tri-band, and I'm hoping it's going to give me a bit of gain, but at the moment it's just sort of lashed up on a pole outside the shack here, which is it's about 12 foot off the ground, something like that. But in between Eltham and me is my house, so the line of sight isn't quite so good there, but I'll be quite interested to hear how it's getting out. I remember Eltham Park and Well Hall. We used to live in, my parents used to live in Westbound Road in Eltham. They moved to that 1971. I'll hand it back to Frank, because I'm not sure who should be next. So from M7EHB over to G0FTP.
Yep, okay, Mark. That's 2 marks on this morning. Yeah, M7 Echo Hotel Bravo. I've corrected that now. You're 5 and 6 for me on your diamond antenna, which is like not too high, but if you put it up high, you'll probably get a nice output signal from your location there. But mine's the same sort of antenna, but it's 30 foot up, which makes a world of difference. Right, I remember, well, I say the Eltham Weatherall station, yeah, you used to have a coal yard, yes, remember it's in the coal yard down there, and if you remember, I think you might have seen it in the news at the time there, in the Mercury, I'm not quite sure, I think it was in the Mercury, there was a train accident there at Eltham Weatherall, where, because as you go through the station, there is a bend on the actual line, it goes round towards, I think the left-hand bend, and I think the train came off the tracks at that particular point, near the coal yard. And no, I don't think anybody was actually injured, just the fact that the train came off the tracks there. That was something a while ago now. I was working on the London Ambulance Service at the time, and we was called out to that particular incident. And I don't think we actually had any particular casualties, apart from those probably a bit shaken up, I suppose, from what had happened to them on the train at the time. But there we are. That's how it went. Right. John, JHB, M0JHB, back to you from GCFTP.
Yeah, M0 Juliet Hotel Bravo, just holding that, just to see if there's anybody else about. Okay, yeah, just a quick one for M7EHB. I forgot your name, I'm sorry. Yeah, the antenna you've got, I bought one from a club member, oh my life, about 7 years ago in, what's that posh place up at, on the, M20, begins with an H anyway, it doesn't matter. Anyway, and I've got that on the side of my gate post, and it's just above the line of the guttering, and I'll use a thermometer, would you believe it, but good aerial, so, you know, hopefully persevere with that, and smoking Greenwich, will come on, so he's only had it a week, and when he had to sell it, he had it to a balcony, so I bought that a year ago or so, I think, and it's in my shed, brand new, you know, for a spare, but yeah, I don't think you can beat the old diamonds. I mean, mine's not a tri-band, that mine is dual, but there you go. Anyway, nice to meet you. Yeah, well, obviously I've forgotten your name now. Yeah, Mark, there's some papers here. Yeah. Okay. Juliet Charlie Foxtrot, yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you where I'm in Eltham. I'm up in Barnsley Gardens. And I'm on the back of the railway. I'm on the back of the railway, and I'm just on the back of that footpath too that you're talking about, yeah. So, yeah, it's amazing. I've been up here, I joined the club, more or less, as soon as I come up here. I think it's about 13, 14 years I've been here now. And, Kevin, he, what was it, M0MSJ, he recommended me to the club and everything, and I went in and everything, and the rest is history. Unfortunately, I can't get down there so much now, because, you know, I've got sort of unrelated, plus I'm disabled, you know, Mark, so, you know, it's, that's the story. But the radio you've got there, I mean, I saw it, I mean, I would put that, I would like that to look at, you know what I mean? I won't worry about powering it up, but I know this radio's got good ears on it, because it's, you know, it's a IC7400 I bought from the club last year, and, you know, it's, the filtering on it is brilliant. I mean, you know, and it does work well, but, I mean, the audio on it is unbelievable. Do you know what? I reckon that audio is nearly as good as, what is it? Is it 790GS, isn't it? It's, Kenwood radio. Because they done the old version, didn't they? Then they bought one out, it's about a grand, but that's how it sounds to me. You know, like that really. Blooming hell. You can pick up some good bargains, and, you know, you've done a good thing on it, and that other guy have it, you know, and you're happy, he's happy, and hopefully you'll be able to fix it. Anyway, I'm going to pass it right, well, I will pass it right to you, Mark. M0 Juliet Hotel Bravo to M0 Juliet Charlie Foxtrot in the Cray Valley Sunday morning there.
Yeah, thanks for that, John. And great memories there. Great reminiscing. I think we like to do that, don't we? We like to go down the memory lane quite often. Pun intended, old chap. You know, I know you've got you've got a few issues there with the memory, but you know, I'm sure it'll all be good. I'm sure it'll all be good. The scientists will work it all out, mate, and you'll lead a long and happy memory laden life with it. But anyway, I was going to say something else about Elton then, but I think also someone is either on this frequency or very close by. You know, you was being quite interfered with there. Right. So anyway, you're 5 and 9, about 5 and 9 plus 10 to me on this radio, and I just confirmed that Mark M7EHB, he's about 5 and 7. I double confirmed that. Of course, Frank, your end stop. But the antenna I'm using is also a diamond. It's a dual bander. Now, it's either the CP6 or the GP6. I can never remember which way round it is. The reason being is I've still got here, brand new in the box. I've had it 18 months now. I've got a multi-band trapped vertical. I think it's 80 to 10 meters, but made by Diamond, and it's either the GP6, the CP6. So whichever way round they both are, I've got both antennas. But I bought it 18 months ago. It came from a ham down near Bluewater, the Bean area. And it was his dad. His dad had gone silent key. His dad had bought it and never ever used it. He was never going to use it. And he said, look, I just want XYZ. Anyone interested? And I thought, do you know what? A brand new in the box multi-band trapped vertical for that price, I'll have it. And then I read the reviews, and the reviews come out okay, except before putting it up, before assembling it and putting it up, they do recommend that you re-rivet all of the traps and that. Apparently that's a weak point, and they fall apart after they've rattled around in the wind for a while. The rivets all come loose. So I've yet to take it apart and give it a go. I don't know now that I'm ever going to probably use it. I think I sort of bought it on a whim, and I don't know that I'm actually going to use it. I might do the modifications, stick it up on a pole and see how it performs. But I mean, it's going to be a quarter wave trapped vertical. The Audi radials have traps as well. And I'm not too sure how it works because each radial has its own individual trap. So, you know, I don't know if it makes it directional in some ways. I'm really not sure how it works. As I say, I bought it on a whim. I've never had it out the box, and I really need to do a bit more research on it before I get too sort of hung up on it. But there you go. That's the story. Well, I think I've covered it all. I think I've recovered reports. I've covered the radio that I'm using. As I say, John, I think it's the Kenwood audio. They have been known for it. I've got a TS-800 up in the loft that I use quite often. I always get good audio reports and that. And of course, all Kenwoods that I've had, they've all had good audio reports. Just lately, I've been using an FT-757GX, and audio reports are okay on that with the Yaesu microphone. So I think sometimes as well, it does come down to like your receiving station, your individual ears and everything. You know, I can't hear anything above sort of 8 kilohertz nowadays, or maybe 7 kilohertz, you know. So, you know, I don't hear high frequencies very well anymore, and low frequencies, no problems whatsoever. Anyway, I'm rambling on, so I'll hand it round to Mark, M7EHB in the Cray Valley group.
M0JCS from M7EHB. Thanks, Mark. I've got to get this antenna up a bit higher. I think the trouble is, well, the first thing I think I might try is to sort of lash it up to the upstairs window in the house, because the gate here, by the way, is Lee, just off Burnt National Hill. And as far as receiving goes, everybody's because Frank is, I can't tell you, my cheap Chinese radio doesn't give me S points. I've got a bar graph, and Frank is solid as usual, probably 5 and 9. John, very good signal, must be 5 and 9 plus. And Mark, you're about 5 and 7, 5 and 8 possibly, something like that. So yes, a bit more development on the antenna work, I think. that train crash you were talking about at Well Hall, I remember that. And I think it was quite serious, actually. It was on the national news, I remember, carrying a lot of holidaymakers back to my day at the coast. But yes, I do remember it being in the news. Okay, I'll hand it over to, must be Frank's go, I think. From M7EHB over to G0FB.
Okay there, Mark. That's two marks, yeah. M7HB from G0FTP. Yep, I know where you are in Lee there, actually, Mark, because I used to live in Micklediva Road, Lee, which is off the main road. And because you're going up towards the South Circle Road more, aren't you? Up in that direction there. And I don't think there's any flats around there, so you should be able to put your antenna up on well, not my one, because where I am in Elton now, because it's a house, it's a 3-storey house really, townhouse, and I've got a mast which is anchored to the corner of the building, and it's the actual antenna is above the guttering on the top of the 3rd floor of the townhouse, which makes the actual diamond antenna above the roof level, which is quite good because it gets out quite well all round actually. And it's a 2-metre and 77's diamond antenna, which I don't use 77's that much now. I used to use it years ago, but not so much now. But it's mostly the 2 metres which I use, which is on the Sunday morning net really, and any other times that I use it to work any of the stations over in North London and in that way sort of thing, which it does get through, because we've got a lad over there in Loughton, I think it's Loughton or Lake Loughton. He normally comes up on the net at the end there, and we have a little old chin wag there for about 10 minutes or so, and he's say the other side of Shooters Hill in Essex, so it does get through quite well. And obviously anybody down in the South End area or down in the Kent area, it gets through quite well. It's very high up here, and if I look out towards the east, I can sort of look right across the Kent countryside really at times if I get right up to where the antenna is. So it gives me a good outlook. And everybody on the net's always a good signal to me. Everyone I put on the list is always a 5 and 9, 5 and 9 plus, whatever the case may be. Everybody's a 5 and 9. The only thing is, at the moment, you're only a 5 and 6, about 5 and 6 to me, Mark, down here in Lee. So if you get that antenna a bit higher, you should be giving me 5 and 9 plus. And even with 10 watts, I'm only running 20 at the moment. I could turn it down to 10 watts and still get out 5 and 9 plus. So that's what the antenna is good at, even on low power. So that'll be all right there. Right, yeah, and for John there, down in Eltham, behind the old Eltham Wellhall station. Yes, you've been there a long time. I know you have, haven't you, John? You've been there a long time. I remember that. And if I remember rightly, you bought one of those mobile antennas for your car, didn't you? From me, a 2-metre mobile antenna for the car when you used to drive down to your parents down on the south coast there. So I remember that's quite a while ago now, isn't it? And I don't suppose, as you say, you're still driving, yes, but I don't know how much driving you do. Whether you do any long distance driving or just do what I do, just a sort of local driving around the area. That's about all I do at the moment. And I hopefully it doesn't come through from DHLV saying, sorry, you can't drive anymore. Wow, I'm nearly 84, so I don't know whether the age makes any difference, so we'll have to wait and see. And I'm going to insure the car on the end of this month. Hopefully going to insure it. If the bloody LV doesn't put me down a bit, because it's rather expensive, unfortunately. £690 something to insure the bleeding car, which is 22 years old. And I'm going to say to them, if you can't drop a good £100, I don't want to know you anymore, go somewhere else. Because I do know there's another firm that does it for £100 cheaper. So there we are. Take it for that. See how you get on. Anyway, enough waffling, moaning about car insurance, which is a bloody nuisance, and also road fund licenses is a nuisance as well now. The road fund license is extraordinary. God, goodness me, I don't know what they do with it. Anyway, back over to you, John. M0JHB from GZFTP.
Break.
Break.
Yeah, good morning, gents. Golf 4 Foxtrot Alpha. Just signing into the net. I heard Mark M0HSB, but very difficult copy, 5 and 1. And this is on my 700G. looking directly at him. Anyway, I won't hold it. I'll pick up the threads as we go along. G0 FDP, Golf 4, Foxtrot Alpha Alpha, using his main station, over.
Okay there, Laurie, yep, fair enough. And we'll put it back up to the other station at the top there, M0JHB. John, over to you, John, from G0FDP.
M0 Hotel Bravo in the Cray Valley radio Sunday morning net, yeah. Yeah, okay on that, yeah, it's, this car business is ridiculous, and I suppose, I don't know if your car's compliant to the ULEZ that starts at the end of this month, but blimey, 12.5 quid to drive around here, you're having a laugh. I think they should do the roads up and everything first, but there you go, that's another story, and that's off our, that's out of our pay grade talking about that. But anyway, I believe I've still got that handset there, Frank, to be honest with you. I believe it's in my daughter's shed in Hampshire. You know what, it's there, I think it's there, but we'll have to see. But, going back to you, Mark, is, I've also got Frank's got the 706 icons. I got one of the 7000s with the colour screen, but how I am now, it's very difficult for me to use. I mean, it's got all menus and everything, and lovely. I bought it in Essex, Dagenham, a couple of years ago. Bloke was selling it on one of the Facebook pages, and it's been a bloody good radio, but the trouble is, see, I can't, I've got my glasses, and B, it's just unbelievable to get into menus to adjust things. If somebody says, well, look, that's not working properly, or, but this one, you see, is, everything's up here. I know everything about this radio, and I've only had this one for 9 months. I bought from the club when they bought their new Yaesu. So I've been thinking about either getting a TS-700G like I was talking about, or I might just get a 450G Yaesu. You see, the thing is, I'm like Frank, I've got everything on that little radio, 77s, you name it. But this one, I've got like 2 meters with a 100 watt output, and so, I just got to think about it, because the other half, she don't want me to let it go, because she likes it as well, not this little radio, but it is a lovely radio, but then you just got to think about the future and how it's going to work out, really. But yeah, this license malarkey, it's, as I say, I'm okay, but she said, being as I caught it reasonably early, she said you've got to do silly things like, word searches and all this sort of stuff, and you know what, I've never done it in my life. I've done about 100 word searches in the last 3 weeks, and that. But the other thing I was thinking about doing is trying to learn a foreign language, believe it or not, and also do some CW, and keep your brain going if I can, because I managed to get my licence on here. I haven't got electronic background and I think. But really nice to hear you, Laurie, if you're still about. It's been a very long time, mate. Hope everything's all good up there with you. And that's about it, really. So, with no further ado, I'll pass it over to M0, and it's JCF. But cool, I've done that without looking at me bit of paper. Back to you, Mark. Sorry for waffling, but there it is. Back to you.
Yeah, M0JHB, M0JCF returning in the Cray Valley Sunday 2 metre net. And good morning to you, Laurie. Usual 5 and 9 from you, Laurie, probably a bit more. And Laurie, just so you can play catch up, I'm using the Trio Tango Sierra 700 Golf, the old TS-700G that I bought at the beginning of this week, repaired and now using. And I'm now using, hopefully I'm using the Trio microphone. Hopefully I'm not just giving it a dead key. I've just been soldering it while everyone else was talking. Can I just have a confirmation from somebody that you've got audio from me, M0JCF?
5 and 9.
There you go, 5 and 9. If that was you, Laurie, your 5 and 9 plus 30 is more accurate, but then this is on this meter. It seems to be fairly accurate, and everyone generally on this net gives me a good audio. One other thing about the train crash at Eltham, which happened just before I moved there, and that I was 10 years old when I moved to Eltham, Christmas 72, and it had happened just before that. And yes, it was a serious crash. The train driver, it was one of those day trip specials to Margate. The train driver, he'd been drinking left, right, and centre. One of the drop-offs was he was required to go wherever it is they go before they take a train out and physically sign on. But what he did, he got on the phone and phoned in and said, "Oh, I'm running late or something. I'll just go straight to the train, but here I am for duty." I might have been overtime, and I think that's why no one knew. People were aware that he'd been drinking, but no one knew to the extent he'd been drinking. And apparently he came through Eltham Well Hall at multiple times the speed limit there. It is quite an acute bend. I don't think it's 90 degrees, but it is quite an acute bend there, just before the railway bridge. Before it it crosses Foxhole Road and then carries on down past Brissett Park and on your way to Kidbrooke station. But anyway, the train did end up in the coal yard. Several wagons had turned over, etc. I think, it was quite serious. I'm not sure about loss of life. I'd have to go through, the news archives for that. But it wasn't trivial at all. It was quite a nasty accident. But that's that, and that's sort of the little bit of a backstory there that I remember reading up through newspaper articles, actually in Eltham Library back in the probably the mid-70s. When I was probably a teenager by then, maybe 12, 13 years old. So it would have been the mid to late 70s, mid-70s. And I remember going through, they had like a microfiche there where you could look at old newspapers, and something just interested me about it. And that was really the last time I sort of did any research on it. But people might be able to correct me on that, but I believe that's the way that it happened. But so as I say, I resoldered the audio wire back on the plug of this Trio microphone, so I'm now using all original equipment radio, and very pleased with the way it's working. I did get some tests or just after I'd repaired it. When was that? About Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. And I was talking to somebody, I can't remember his call sign, it's Gary, down in Chatham. Now, if you know my location, you know Chatham. We've got lots of hills in between. I spoke to someone in Chatham, a bit of a struggle with someone on the Isle of Sheppey, and then someone in Maidstone. And we operated FM, upper sideband, lower sideband, and AM. Didn't do CW, but it worked okay in all modes, including AM, ancient modulation. Okay, well, I'll hand it round to Mark now, M7EHB, and then you can hand it round, Mark, to G4FAA. So round to you, M7EHB from M0JCF in the Cray Valley Sunday net.
Break. JCS from M7EHB. Thanks, Mark. Your audio is sounding great with the new microphone, as far as I can tell on my tiny Chinese radio here, but it's very loud and clear and nice that it's all, you're using the all original kit. Good morning to Laurie. I don't know if you were listening earlier, Laurie, but I'm trying out the wide stick you lent me, the Diamond Tri-Band, but it's not very high off the ground. It's about 12 foot, maybe 15 foot up in the air. But I need to, that's the next move, try and get it a bit higher, get it above the roof line. That's the thing. I think, when it finally comes down to it, I'm going to have to employ a man to go up on the roof and strap it to the chimney stack. But your signal, Laurie, here, a bit down, actually, probably sort of 5 and 6, something like that. Okay, I'll hand it over to you, Laurie. So from M7EHB over to T4FAA. Yeah, Roger. HSB from Golf 4 Foxtrot Alpha Alpha. Yeah, good morning. You seem to be a bit of a depleted net this morning, Frank FTP, but there we go. Okay, well, a couple of things. I picked up one or two. To you, John, JHB, nice to hear your dulcet tones again. I've got you both on the vertical colinear, this QTH, and the 7-element Yagi with a new feeder which I fitted a couple of weeks ago is looking straight at HSB, which is why I was getting him about 5/1 in spite of the cross polarity. But there we go. To you, John JHB. Okay, well, if he's serious about CW, we do a little bit of practice, and Nathan and myself, on a Monday night on 144.190, upper side down the course. Not serious VW, mostly it's just a general chat. But you're welcome to join in. That's 8 p.m. Mondays, but not this Monday, which of course is the Cray Valley Sunday net. And I plan to use my newly acquired KW160, which is only giving 5 watts at the moment, but hopefully I can improve that and get it up to the 8 or 9 watts that they were supposed to run at. So there we go. To you, Mark, that's JCF. Those are Mark's about. Three on 1 net. The TS-700G, yeah, okay, well, I get a kick, as you know, out of using vintage equipment, and the coverage you got on your 700G, well, I'm envious. I can't work Medway even with 100 watts to a 7-element looking straight down the A2. But not to worry. What else have I got to natter about? Well, that's probably enough as usual. With my stupid eyes, I can't read my writing. But so I better hastily pass it round to you. Mark. Which Mark? I better pass it round to you, Frank. G0FTP, Golf 4 Foxtrot Alpha Alpha, over. Break. Who's the break? It's M0WDV. I'm on a handheld, so I guess not everyone can hear me.
Okay, that's WDV. Is that you, David?
Yeah, it's me. I'm out taking the dog for a walk at the moment. We've actually got 2 handhelds. I'm curious to know which one sounds better. So I'm sort of ready to do a test if people are willing to help.
Okay, Dad, well, you're all okay with me, no problem. The audio's okay, got a nice signal strength with your handheld there. So I'll put it round to JCF. Mark, you give him a signal strength there, Mark.
Yeah, M0 JCF, calling M0 WDV, Dav. Well, Dav, if you're walking the dog and you're walking local, then it wouldn't surprise you that the radio that you're using at the moment, you're 5 and 9 plus 40. So I'm using a TS-700G and the colinear, and I'm running about 8 watts at the moment. So yeah, you're 5 and 9 plus 40 to me, Dav, and the audio quality is very good, no problems whatsoever. A little bit of wind noise, I suppose, either that or you're just out of breath because you're walking the dog, but I will put it down to wind noise because we're always kind on a Sunday morning, aren't we? We put it down to wind noise, old man. It's not you out of breath at all. But if you want to swap radios, mate, that's your report on that radio, and I don't expect, to be honest, for it to be much different with another radio, unless it's something quite radical or new or home built. Over to you, M0WDV, M0JCF.
All right, yeah, and obviously you're off the scale on my handheld as well. I'm using the Anytone ATD878 at the moment. I'm about to switch over to my Quansheng UVK5. Okay, so I'm going to do it now. It's going to take just a couple of seconds. I'll come back just momentarily. M0JCF, this is M0WDV now on the Quansheng. Wondering if this sounds any different. Back to you, Mark, from M0WDV.
M0WDV, M0JCF. I'm going to be honest and say absolutely no difference. Exactly the same signal strength. The audio quality might have a little bit more treble on it, but not. I mean, I was just trying to be super critical for you. I would say no difference, mate. Those Quansheng UV5Ks, I bought 3 of them now, and I'll tell you what, the most I've paid was, I think it was 16 quid. The least I've paid was about 12.5 quid. I mean, bang for a buck. I mean, you'll always get the haters. You will always get the haters of with a Chinese cheap imported equipment, and why not? You know, that's down to them. But when you're subjective about it and you think of the price that we paid, it's phenomenal. The quality that you're getting. You know, it isn't as cheap and nasty and flimsy. I know you tried to leave yours at the club and hope that someone would steal it, but no one would want to. So they can buy it cheaper than they can steal it. That's your answer, mate. Back to you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Mark. Much appreciated. And yeah, I agree with you. It's I had to change the speaker on mine. I only bought one, but yeah, really, really thanks. And good morning to everyone else. I'll pass it back to net control now to carry on. M0JCF, M0WDV.
Yep, okay, Dad, yep. To me, they're all okay, as Mark was saying, no problem at all for the price you pay for them. No problem at all. And I do know you did leave it on the cupboard in the radio room there. I thought, hello, there's a little radio there, and I wonder who that was. It was your one there, and it's still there when I left. So you've obviously picked it up now from where it was. Okay, right. Now, I don't think M0JHB, that's John down there in the Elton Wellow area. Whether he could have heard you, we'll have a see what he says. Over to you, John, from TS-700G.
Yeah, thank you, Frank. M0 Hotel with Soul Zero SDP and the Cray Valley Radio Net. Can't hear David. It's obviously, you know, he's breaking the square to comment on this, but so it's clear me, David. Good morning to you. Blimey, I haven't spoke to you for blimey ages and ages, but there you go. Yeah, a couple of comments. One about the handhelds. Well, I've had both since they scale. Now, I've got the one there my wife bought me 5 years ago for a birthday present, the 10-watt one, or 8-watt, whatever it is. And I bought the extended battery as well.
Quansheng UV5K, £12.50.
Incredible. It's on the side of my table here, and it's a bit dusty because I don't use it often, but it's ideal for testing and audio and stuff like that, you know, when you're doing bits. But yeah, I wouldn't knock them. There's another one out other than that crash on it. There's another one out I know it's being reviewed on YouTube, and that looks more incredible. You know, and it's cheap money, very cheap money for them, really. And they are well made. I've never touched wood. I've never had trouble with any of them type of radios. I've had was it the DTP, the orange coloured one. That was one of the first high-power ones I ever did. But no problem at all. The only downside with them all is you haven't got AM. You know, you can't. The only way you can listen to AM is on 77s up that way, but you can't not on them at all, you know, which is a bit disappointing, really. But there you go. You can't have everything for that money, really. Yeah, as I say, Laurie, you're saying there. Yeah, that aerial I had off of you back in COVID days, I think it was 2020, I think it was. Yeah, I done a little antenna out of it and mixed. I've still got all the 6-metre bits and all the rest of it. It's all in the shed, you know. I mean, at the moment I'm pretty well done in with it, but I keep all these bits and everything, and that was appreciated. That was, by the way, and that's it really. No, something else. Oh yeah, Mark. I know what I was going to say. MCF. JCF rather. What I was going to say was I've listened to that radio for an hour and you've got no drop in signal whatsoever, so the power's holding, no drift whatsoever, and it's perfectly within band. And I mean, you've done a great job on that, can't get over it. I mean, nobody, I will say this, and I'm not being horrible or flippant, nobody will beat Frank on 2 metres. I don't know how he does it. I can hear Frank on my little hand now without that aerial in when I'm knocking about on a Sunday sometimes. It's incredible. Okay, so I'll pass it back to the said person. M0, JCF. Mark, over to you, mate.
Yeah, M0, JHB, M0, JCF in the Cray Valley net, continually building just as we're coming to the end. Yeah, well, thanks for the reports, everyone. I'm very pleased with this radio. As I say, I think it's a third one that I've used and operated. I've had the TS-700, TS-700A, and this one's the TS-700G. And as I say, I also this week bought a TS-700 that was a bit sad. It was in a bit of a sorry state, and I was going to use it as a donor to repair this one, but it turned out I didn't need to, so I sold it on. So yeah, legitimately, I've had 4, but I've only used 3, and I will keep this one for a while. I mean, it is very nice. I say no digital displays. You know, you have to. I do sometimes check with an external frequency counter. And you know, and just to make sure that the dial on the front is okay. But yeah, it is what it is. You know, it's an old piece of kit. Like Laurie, I'm really into my old school kit now. I've started collecting KW equipment. I've got a KW 1000 with power supply, and then this week I managed to pick up 2 KW 1000 A and B power supplies. One of them's already been moved on to a club member. I also got the Decca station monitor that goes with the KW suite. That seems to work very nicely. Got a beautiful trace on the oscilloscope screen, etc. I've also got a KW 1000 amplifier, linear amplifier, 400 watt linear amplifier. I got 2 of them. One of them was missing the transformer, so what I did, I've removed the valves, valve bases, etc. from the one that didn't have the transformer, and a club member has had the case, knobs, and everything else that that was left inside that KW 1000 amplifier. He's had that off me. Oh, and I rescued the capacitors out of it. The tank capacitors, because they are very nicely made, and if you want to make a mag loop or something like that, they're very high voltage capacitors. I mean, easy 500-600 watts without flashover. And so yeah, I'm really getting into the KW stuff now. When I say I'm getting into it, I'm collecting it. It does mean though I've been moving on some gear. I've been selling some gear that I bought to restore, never got round to, that sort of thing, and gear that I have restored that I'm just moving it on. Also, I don't know that if I was on last week's. No, I wasn't on last week's net, was I? I don't believe. I've also bought an Eddystone 940, Eddystone 940, a communications receiver. I've had many boat anchor receivers in my time since the 70s, and this one's up there with some of the best that I've had. It has got a tuning problem in as much as The tuning knob is a lovely tuning knob, lovely flywheel on it. It really spins nicely, but unfortunately nothing behind it spins nicely. So the capacitor is fully meshed, and the dial cord, the pointer is at one end and the dial cord doesn't move. So it does want disassembly, and the gear train does want looking at to find out why. The knob spins beautifully, but the pointer doesn't move, and obviously the radio doesn't tune. Other than that, it's in a remarkable condition. Only paid 50 quid for it, and I'm very pleased with that purchase. But you know, it's just one of many. I have got some transmitter receiver combinations. That's the Yaesu stroke Summer Camp FR100B, FL100B combination. I think I'm going to move that on now. I bought that 18 months ago, and it's just sat on the shelf. I just keep on buying stuff and using stuff and whatever, and some of this, you know, with the best will in the world, it's just going to sit there forever. Originally I bought all of this gear for retirement. It was going to be one of those, you know, I'll buy that, put it aside for my retirement. Well, of course I retired last November, and really I just, you know, I think I overcooked it. You know, I just got in far too much, and of course I'm still bringing in stuff. Another one is the Kodar AT5. Now, I had 3 of them, and I'm moving one of those on. Another club member is buying a Kodar AT5 off me, and a valve power supply off me. So we'll have someone else also getting into the restoration game. So it's, you know, I'm not sort of selling up and moving on and going elsewhere. It's a case of rationalising what I've got. So that's my long over, again done with. Around to you, Mark, M7 Echo Hotel Bravo. This is M0 JCF in the Cray Valley net.
M0 JCF from N7EHC. Thanks, Mark. I'm a big KW fan. In fact, that was my whole introduction to amateur radio. I happened to cross something on the internet that said that the club called Cray Valley were having a KW weekend, and I went along and was very interested in the whole thing. And here we are 6 months later. The garden shed has become stacked, and I'm surrounded by radio. So it's all good. And as far as the Chinese stuff is concerned, I have to say, this radio I have here is a Lincoln BB898 10 watts, so it's an improvement on my Bowbang UV5R, and with the colinear, things are getting better and better. All right, I'll hand it over to Frank. This is M7EHC over to T0FT.
Yeah, okay, thanks very much, Mark. Hand it round now to Laurie, G4FAA.
Yeah, Roger. Golf 4 Foxtrot Alpha Alpha. Okay, well, signal report down from MDV. You were about 5 to 4 on the Yagi, which is looking at Mark EHP in west of me at the moment, and about 5 or 1 on my colinear vertical, which has got 60 dBs again. When you switch to the UV5K, and I've ordered one incidentally, the signal levels was essentially the same, but the modulation was not as good, not as crisp. There we go. Still communication quality. Right. It's late, Frank FTP, so I won't hold it. There were a couple of other things I was going to talk about, but I'll have to wait for another day. Just a reminder, of course, I think it's top band 1.905 kilohertz on Monday night and tomorrow night at 8 p.m. And initially on lower side band, and then we'll try AM, and I'll see if my newly acquired KW160 is going to perform. And then, of course, on Tuesday night is the 77 UK AS centimetre contest. I'm going to see how this new 7-element 2-metre Yagi of mine performs on its third harmonic. Probably the answer is not very well, but we'll see. Right, that's me finished. It's nice to hear some of your dulcet tones, particularly you, John, JHC. We'll catch up with you one of these days. It is a great pity, it affects me as well, that Cray Valley no longer put their meetings on Zoom. Quite why, I don't know. It can't be cost. Must be complexity. Well, I won't go into it, but I have problems attending meetings and have to rely on others to collect and deliver me. Right, round to you. Oh, just quickly, SDP, can I give a quick shout to EHB? Over?
Yes, of course you can, sorry, go on.
Yeah, F0 EHB, Golf 4, Foxtrot Alpha Alpha. Report my signals, Mark, over. Yes, C4 FAA from M7 EHB. I'd say it's about 5 and 6, something along those lines, but quite readable. Yeah, Roger, it's not surprising. I've got 80 watts looking at you. But of course we've got the cross polarity on aerials. Anyway, you're about 5 by 1, and I've worked out you're very slightly south of west from me. Okay, right, back to you, Frank. Come on, M0, G0, FDP, Golf 4, Foxtrot Alpha Alpha, over.
Yep, okay, Lorry, G4 Fox Alpha Alpha from G0 FTP. Right, now, as you mentioned there, that Monday night is Top Band night, and I shall be using my IC718 HF rig here, which is only HF. It's got nothing else but HF in it, no 2 metres, no 6 metres or anything like that, just an HF rig, and I'll be using that. The two 706 Mark II Gs here, I could use those, because they do, they go right down to 160, and they go right up to 77s on those two rigs, but they're not connected up to the HF antenna. It's only the 718 connected up to the HF antenna, the G5. So that's what I'll be working on tomorrow evening. Right, anybody else want to come back with any comments before we close the Sunday morning let down from G0 FTP?
Yes, please.
Morning, John.
Well, thank you to everybody this morning. It's been fantastic listening. I haven't been listening on it. I used to listen on here quite regularly, but this is the first time I've actually even listened on here for maybe a couple of 3 months. Pleasure to hear from you all. And as usual, Frank, thank you so very much for running it. And hopefully, I'll try and get to the club once a year when it's absolutely okay for. I popped out Friday during the day, Friday dinner time for Lizzie's birthday, because it was really nice and warm with the sun. Then we were sat outside having something to eat. The next thing, it changed, and the cold was unbelievable, and I've been suffering since really. It's incredible, but there it is. But I'll definitely want to come down and see everybody. Quickly on the KW thing, I think they're amazing. I think they're amazing what it encourages people to get involved in how what radio works and all the rest of it properly, and it's a good thing. What I'm looking for, basically, when I can find one, is my favourite radio is an FT101ZD. Just a cheap one, really. I was going to see if I have a look around the old bloody social networks and all the rest of it, but, trouble is people don't want to post them, do they? Because they're about 10 ton. Anyway, so there it is. Anyway, thank you so much, everybody. Really nice to speak to you again, Laurie. I've missed our chats and everything, but this is ideal. I can speak to you all day long on it. How you are today. You're fully quiet then. Sticking on about 7, but there you go. And Mark, nice to actually talk to you. I think we've messaged on our social network somewhere. I'm pretty sure we have. The other Mark, please speak as well, Lee there. Good luck with your call, and hopefully you're going to sign up for everybody, and especially you, Frank, and we'll catch you all soon, hopefully. But bye for now, M0, Juliet Hotel Bravo, clear listening, and I'm gone.
Yep, okay there, John, and congratulations on tying the knot after all these years, okay? Thank you very much for that, John. Any other comments? Other comments from this Sunday morning 2-metre net? I'll just listen briefly now and close the net down.
Yeah, this is M0WDV. I'm back at home now. Sorry I couldn't participate fully in the net this morning. Bit difficult from the handheld, but good morning everyone, and 7-3s, and maybe speak to some of you on the top band net tomorrow night. This is M0WDV going clear.
Yep, okay, Dave. Yeah, I'll probably hear you on top, man. I should be on tomorrow evening. I've missed the last couple of months, but I should be on tomorrow night with my 718 there, so I should be trying to work it out and tuning out for the top band. Okie doke. Right, any other comments quickly before I close the net? Okie doke. This is Golf Zero Fox Delvar closing the Sunday morning 2-metre net down at 11:14, 11:15 now, and going QRT.